Hello, I'm Moira Alderson with the BBC News. The French President Emmanuel Macron has said he will be a president for everyone after he was re-elected for a second term in office. In his victory speech to crowds gathered by the Eiffel Tower in Paris, he acknowledged that many people had abstained or had voted for him only to block his far-right rival, Marine Le Pen. He also acknowledged those who had voted against him.
Et je sais que pour nombre de nos compatriotes
And I know that for many of our fellow citizens
aujourd'hui l'extrême droite,
who today
la colère et
chose to
les
vote for the far
désaccords
right
qui les ont
I
conduits à
know
voter pour
that
ce
they are
projet doivent aussi
angry, and that's
trouver
what
une
led
réponse.
them to vote
Ce sera
for
ma
that manifesto. And of course we need to find a
responsabilité et celle de
response
ceux qui m'entourent.
to that. And that will be my responsibility, as well as the responsibility of the people around me.
This was Marine Le Pen's third defeat at a presidential election and her second in a row to Emmanuel Macron. She said the size of her vote, around 42%, showed that the nationalist camp was now the acknowledged opposition to Mr. Macron. Fighting has continued in eastern and southern Ukraine, with no let-up in the violence for Orthodox Easter. Russian forces again bombarded the huge steelworks in Mariupol, where Ukrainian combatants and civilians are holding out. More details from Anna Foster in Kyiv.
In Mariupol, attempts to establish a humanitarian corridor were again frustrated. Over the last week, only a few hundred people have been evacuated via official routes. The United Nations and Red Cross have both renewed their calls for an immediate end to the fighting, so the more than 100,000 people still thought to be stuck in the city can be rescued.
In an Easter address in Kyiv, President Zelensky insisted that Russian invaders would not destroy Ukraine. He said on Saturday that he would meet senior US officials in Kyiv on Sunday. The White House did not confirm this. Aid groups in Sudan are reporting that many civilians have been killed following clashes in the Darfur region. Fighting broke out between two rival communities on Friday in the Krinik region of West Darfur. The number killed rose significantly on Sunday. Our regional editor, Will Ross, has the details.
The violence in the west of Darfur apparently broke out after armed Arab tribesmen attacked villages belonging to the Masalit minority. This was in retaliation for earlier killings. The violence then escalated and there was widespread looting and many homes were torched. Earlier on Sunday, the International Committee of the Red Cross warned of a rapidly deteriorating humanitarian situation and called for the injured and sick to be allowed to seek help. Some in the town of Krinik say a notorious militia known as the Rapid Support Forces, or RSF, was deployed to quell the violence.
World News from the BBC. President Biden has accepted an invitation from the Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett to visit Israel in the coming months. Mr. Bennett's office said the agreement came during a phone conversation between the two leaders on Sunday. During their discussion, the Prime Minister is said to have briefed President Biden on Israeli-Palestinian clashes at the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound. The Speaker of Iran's Parliament, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, is facing calls for his resignation following a shopping trip by members of his family to neighbouring Turkey. It's alleged his wife, daughter and son-in-law went on a lavish shopping spree to buy baby clothes and accessories. His critics highlight how Mr. Ghalibaf, an influential hardliner, had spoken recently about the need for Iranians to tighten their belts and avoid extravagance in order to lessen the impact of Western sanctions. El Salvador's National Assembly is meeting to decide whether to extend emergency measures imposed a month ago in response to deadly attacks by the country's powerful gangs. President Nayib Bukele made the request for the special powers to continue. This report from Leonardo Rocha.
Mr. Bukele says more than 16,000 members of El Salvador's notorious criminal gangs, which operate across Central and North America, have been arrested in the past month. He's seeking a 30-day extension of the special powers, which allow the arrest of suspects without a warrant and increase sentences to up to 45 years in jail. Human rights groups have expressed concern following reports of arbitrary detentions of alleged gang members and the reported deaths of at least 4 people in police custody.
A new museum has just opened in the Democratic Republic of Congo at the home of one of the country's best-known musicians, Papa Wemba, who died exactly 6 years ago. The Congolese government bought the singer's home in the capital, Kinshasa, and pledged to turn it into a museum to celebrate rumba music. That's the latest world news from the BBC.